Ever wonder where war began? How it all came about in the first place? Ever wonder if you'll live to see it end? You are there when stars are being born, and you get to see oceans forming, mountains rising, first wings on the wind. Which way did the wind blow then? Can you feel it? History repeating, or can we stop this show? I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever tried to count the raindrops? Separate a puddle into components? Is rain rain if it never hits the ground? With the beating down of rays from the sun, touching even the most private person, marking a rhythm written out of time. Your life is a part of mine, and still there's more here than we can imagine. More than meets our minds. Ever wonder where you'll go after this? Ever wonder if perpetual motion has its origins in something serene and fine? Serene and fine. We know now, we know then. We can see it all as time falls open. I've been wondering why these are my eyes, why this road I'm on is my way. The balance of things around me, well, it puzzles me more every day. Still I've known love that lasts through the ages, and I've cherished the hearts that danced with mine. And there's so many things I would understand if one life was enough time. It saddens me to think down through the centuries that mankind could still be that small. Still, I've known love that lasts through the ages, and I've cherished the hearts that have danced with mine. And there's so many things I would understand if one life was enough time. If one life was enough time. Good morning. It's enough time for something, and I'm going to invite you to sing along with me on Love Will Guide Us. Raise your voices in joyful noise for the new year, all right? Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night, or maybe a cold one. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love, because love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Well, I saw some of you trying to sing. Thank you very much. This is All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Shreveport, and we are glad to have you here with us again, once 100% virtual. But we are here in real time with you on Facebook if you tuned in at the 11 o'clock hour Central Time. And we're very glad to have you here. Happy New Year. I sure hope it has started safely for you. And I hope your health is solid, and if you are having any struggles, that they diminish as we go along. This church is founded on covenant rather than creed. We don't have to think alike here or even believe alike about ultimate matters of life and death. In order to be here together, to love alike, and to share the idea that we need to care for each other and and do what we can to grow in compassion, peace, and understanding. So, whoever you are, you're always welcome here with us. And we hope that when we get to be back together, we'll see you. And if you're new, we'll get to meet you. I would like to invite one of our board members, Dr. Jennifer Russell, to share some announcements with you this morning. Jennifer?
Thank you, Barbara. Good morning and Happy New Year. A few announcements. As Barbara mentioned, we are currently 100% virtual for all of our services and are going to remain that way through the end of January to try to get us through this Omicron surge so that we can safely, once again, go back to in-person services, we're hoping. Our Giveaway the Plate recipient for January of 2022 is Volunteers for Youth Justice. They do a lot of work helping to support at-risk youth, including children who are in foster care and those sorts of things. They train CASA volunteers who help advocate and represent the needs of those children as they move through, court processes and those types of things. So anything that comes in as a donation in January that is not designated as a pledge will go to Volunteers for Youth Justice. There was no adult religious education this morning. It will pick back up next morning. And they're doing a study on a book by Brian McLaren called Learning How to See. It's about different biases that affect, the way that we view the world and ourselves and those sorts of things. So that will pick back up on Zoom next Sunday at 9 a.m. Zoom lunch, which has been on Wednesdays, is going to be moving to Tuesdays at noon. So if you've been attending that, make sure you make a note in your mind or your calendar that it's changing dates. And just a reminder, the Highland Blessing Dinner on Thursday nights. You need to be vaccinated to be able to help volunteer. That is from 5 to 6:30 at the Highland Center at the corner of Highland and Olive. Finally, the meditation with Larry Andros is on Saturday mornings at 10:30, and that is also being done via Zoom, and that should pick back up on this coming Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I would like to invite our Director of Religious Education, Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Susan Caldwell, to share with us some more announcements, if you will, Susan.
Yeah, the long job title at the 11-syllable church. When I introduce myself in meetings, then I'm pretty much done, with whatever I was going to say. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this virtual service. We hope by the end of January we can get back together in person and stay that way, but we felt like this was the wisest thing to do, considering how many people were either sick or had been exposed just among our own population, who are very vaccinated, very careful people. So we're trying to be wise and do the right thing. As Jennifer mentioned, we will start back with adult religious education next week at 9 a.m. And we're discussing a podcast which features Brian McLaren and some other people from the Center for Action and Contemplation. And it is, as Jennifer mentioned, about the 13 different biases and how they affect our daily lives and how they affect the way that we see and perceive the world around us. So it fits very much into the anti-racism work we've been doing, and kind of expands beyond that as well. And as always, that group is always open. You're always invited to join us via Zoom. And we will be staying on Zoom for a while, I think. We have a group that is located in various places and also just having varying degrees of willingness to be in person. So that group will remain on Zoom for some time to come. And I feel like there was something else, but I don't think so. And I will pass it over to Melissa Lewis. who will tell you about the NOAA food pantry needs for this month.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'll be at the church today from 2 to 4 outside around the fire, gathering food for the food pantry. This month's request is instant hot chocolate, instant oatmeal, small hygiene items, no mouthwash, and hearty soups. So that's hot chocolate, oatmeal, hygiene items, and hearty soups. 2 to 4 today. See you then with the puppy.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Miss Susan. I invite you now, if you will, take a couple of deep breaths and let yourselves actually get here. Wherever you are, think of our spirits being together. Think of this congregation as one spirit. And let's prepare to enter the spirit of worship. Gather here in the mystery of the hour. Gather here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. In this quiet hour, may our spirits be renewed. In this community of ideals, may we remember the principles that guide us and reflect upon those things that give meaning to our lives, renewing our dedication to serve the highest that we know. In this time of worship, may our minds be open to new truth and our hearts be receptive to love as we give thanks for this life we are blessed to share. Here in this sanctuary of ancient dreams and wisdom and beauty, we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged, renewed, to be helped in our continuing struggles for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and doers. In the face of cynicism, darkness, brutality around us and within, we seek to align ourselves with a living community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act rather than simply adjust and succumb. Here we invite the spirit of our own humanity and the healing powers under, around, through, and beyond it to give us the nerve and grace, the toughness and sensitivity to search out the truth that frees and the life that maketh all things new. We seekers are on a quest to discover truth and meaning. Sometimes we think we found it, wrapped up, glimmering with newness, straight off the intellectual assembly line. All the answers right here for us, and others if they'd only listen. But truth has a way of coming in disguise. sometimes wearing rags and sometimes finery, but so often cloaked from our immediate sight. And sometimes that which we have rejected, that which we have let go of or decided was only for others but not us, can be our teacher. Let our time of worship be an acknowledgement of the never-ending journey toward truth and meaning, and our appreciation of those we learn from along the way. We whose journeys are always beginning. We whose mission always awaits us. We whose visions are bent on loving, we gather here. May the spirit of truth and universal love move in us and among us in this hour. I invite representatives from the Carlisle family to share the first part of our chalice lighting with us this morning.
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the loving heart. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other.
Thank y'all so very much. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of life we share together. May we remember that justice, meaning, and purpose live first in deeply listening to one another and to the wisdom deep within ourselves that might even be the hardest to hear. Who's leading our unison affirmation this morning?
I believe Melissa is.
I think we may have lost her.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be happy to do that then.
Thank you.
If you'll rise in body or spirit, and say it with me. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Thank you, Miss Susan. Mother Teresa of Calcutta said that love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service, just like we said in our unison affirmation. It's not how much we do, but how much love we put into the doing, a lifelong sharing of love with others. To that end, life calls us on.
Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known. With
I would gladly hear that again. No, thank you. That was fun to do. That song is I really appreciate Reverend Barbara putting all the virtual choir things together during this time. And that song is way fun to do in real life too. And we look forward to being able to do that again, having our choir back together. So this morning, because remember I told you that, Advent was a season unto itself. Well, Christmas also is a season unto itself, and we are still in Christmas. And so I wanted to tell you one more Christmas story before the season ends. And it's a true story. It happened very recently, and it's about a little owl who became very famous. So the story is The Little Owl and the Big Tree. It was written by Jonah Winter and illustrated by actually his mother, Jeanette Winter. Which I just found out this morning what that relationship is. So that's really kind of cool. But anyway, it's called The Little Owl and the Big Tree. There once was an owl who lived in a tree. She was so tiny, in fact, it's doubtful anybody knew she existed. She slept all day in a hole in the tree and hunted at night. She was alone, she was peaceful. Then one day everything changed. She was woken from her slumber by the sounds of voices and power tools. That would be kind of scary, wouldn't it? Suddenly her tree began to move, creaking and shaking, and now the tree was falling down. So really, really scary. At last, the motion stopped. Noise had changed, strange and new. Honking horns, people shouting, music blaring. The owl was still in her hole, wondering what in the world was going on. Once again, there were voices up close. And just like that, the wrapping was being removed. Can you guess where she is? Let's find out. Finally, the owl came out of her hole, only to find herself face to face with a man. The two of them stared at each other for a while, and when the man realized the owl was not flying away, he reached over and held the owl in his hand. And still the owl didn't fly away. She was tired and hungry. She hadn't eaten in days. Man found a box and placed the owl inside it, along with some pine twigs, and still the owl didn't fly away. And she didn't fly away when she was taken in a car by the kind man's wife to a wildlife rescue center. At the wildlife center, the owl looked up from her box to see a woman looking down at her. The woman fed her and gave her water and made sure she wasn't hurt. See, she's feeding her with a little eyedropper. Meanwhile, her old home, the tree, was now the Christmas tree in New York City's Rockefeller Center. And she, the tiny owl, was famous. She now had a name, Rockefeller. Of course, she didn't know anything about that, though. She knew about being an owl. And when she'd regained her strength, she was released near the Wildlife Rescue Center. It wasn't her old home, but at least she was back in the wild, back in the trees, somewhere out there under the stars. So a whole little group of people came together to make sure that little Rockefeller survived what could have been a really, and probably was a really scary experience. But because these people cared about her and were willing to take care of her and work with her, she was able to go back into the wild where she liked to live. And as a footnote, if you have seen the new series Hawkeye on Disney, the owl actually has a little role in the last episode. So, spoiler alert. Anyway, thanks and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Miss Susan. I would like to invite all of you now, if you will, as I mentioned earlier, think about this congregation as a whole, the spirit of all the faces that you know, the people that maybe you haven't even met yet. Think about what it means to be a part of this congregation. Think about what it means for you to be alive, working and living and moving in the world. Hold the spirit of this church in your heart. Hold the spirit of life at your core. Relax your body. Take a few deep breaths again. Remember, the journey can be one that's fun, one that brings light, one that discovers life in unexpected places. Feel the warm glow of people that care about you. You. Not for what you do, but just because you're you. I hope you can carry that feeling into the day, into the year, and offer it to the people around you. Let's just have a moment of silence. We hope Larry continues to heal from his little health matter, and that he'll be back with us soon. As this new year opens, I imagine that most of us have wished those around us a happy new year. We may expound from there a bit, but that expression is a cultural standard, and wishing people happy seems simple enough, but we leave that expression pretty wide open. What that means. It's most likely that we have all had times in the last couple of years that happiness has been challenging to find. Not to mention enough real conviction about it to help others stay happy or positive and hopeful. Happiness is fleeting if we seek it for its own sake, because evidence indicates that any lasting happiness comes from having a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. American Jungian psychoanalyst James Hollis, who has like 16 books, wrote that we are the meaning-seeking, meaning-creating animals. Our fellow creatures live out their biology like life cycles just like we do, biological life cycles just like we do, but do not apparently have the capacity to reflect upon themselves, create abstractions, or build complex social structures as the carriers of their values. They may fight to live, but they're not anxious about their mortality. They carry the mystery of being as their instinctual heritage, as we do, but ours is the peculiar species that so often grows estranged from its own natural instinctual ground. Our tendency toward idiosyncratic self-reflection, our discovery of metaphor, symbol, analogy, and abstraction, and the unnameable yearning that so typifies our nature, express our desire for meaning. This profound, irresistible urge towards meaning and our anguish at the loss of meaning give some inkling of our soul's parameters and its insistent agenda. Each of us has a profound need to feel the resonant support of the soul, to feel that we are participants in a divinely generated story. As Jung wrote in his memoir, meaninglessness inhibits fullness of life and is therefore equivalent to illness. Meaning makes a great many things endurable, perhaps everything. And there I stop my quotes from Hollis. Recently, I've been rereading a book by the senior minister at the Unitarian Church of All Souls on the Upper East Side of New York City. His name is Galen Gingrich, and the book is titled The Way of Gratitude. After going through some human history explaining that when things happened, it was reason that taught us to conclude that something caused it, and that awareness was necessary for survival. After going through all of that, he points out that down the road that led to the idea of gods and God. He goes through the history of the Western Church and points the finger all the way back to the Reformation and Luther for serving as the catalyst for the recognition of one's own agency and the rise of individualism. The primacy of the individual in politics leads to democracy. In economics, it becomes free enterprise. He says democratizing salvation has been a good thing. Democratizing the ballot box has been a good thing. Democratizing economics has been a good thing, but all of those things can be subverted. He talks about people turning away from a religion because they reject the underlying assumptions. He also explains there are ways to understand the divine other than as supernatural. He writes that the advancing of science has brought this age of secularism, which, quote, may have all the right pieces, or at least most of them, but it doesn't show us how they fit together in a meaningful way. The disparate elements of our lives don't cohere. The retreat of secularism into the autonomy of the individual turns out to be spiritually unsatisfying. Sequestered in this way, individuals are often unable to understand where they fit in, how the meaning of their lives connects to the people and world around them. End quote. Gingrich tells a story about a young couple that lived in New York City, and after 9/11, they went to their usual church, and there things happened in the church pretty much the way they always did, and they didn't see reflected in the service anything that had changed because of 9/11. So they went seeking meaning someplace else, and eventually wound up at All Souls in New York. He also wrote about a group of young people that were coming to his congregation, and he and his wife had them over for dinner and conversation. He talked about most of them came from someplace else, and they had either come because they were in career deserts, or they were moving away from something, or seeking a place where there was more freedom. Anyway, he asked them all eventually what they told their friends and colleagues and coworkers about All Souls, and every single one of them said they didn't say anything. That it was not culturally okay or acceptable to talk about being part of a religious institution, because if you did, people either thought you were superstitious or just really foolish, naive. Given the steep decline in religious participation, Gingrich believes there's need for concern. We've been watching this decline in pretty much every single tradition in the Western world for maybe a couple of decades now. Churches are shrinking. And given that steep decline, there are things that are concerning. Not just about the existence of a church, but I do have to say that makes me think sometimes. But all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, when our founding fathers were talking about unalienable rights, they were divinely endowed. They assumed that people went to church where they were supposedly taught good and evil, right and wrong, how to make choices that would create better lives for them and everyone else. Gingrich writes that public schools weren't designed to provide for the moral formation of our youngest citizens. Popular culture has become increasingly disdainful of any hint of moral discourse. People worship the idol of personal freedom. Freedom is understood when freedom is understood in this narrow, self-serving way, it becomes isolated from the source of value that links our individual happiness to the well-being of the people and world around us. It's bad for us as individuals and bad for the character of the nation. I think we have plenty of evidence for that. The shift has left many individuals without a clear source of spiritual meaning, and our nation without a clear sense of moral purpose. Gingrich writes, quote, "Here is the question that remains. Can we discover a way of life that enables us fully to accept modern views of knowledge, yet grounds our spirituality in a way that satisfies our individual quests for meaning and joy, and also provides a framework for understanding our responsibilities as citizens?" To answer this question, he says we first turn to the practice of openness, and then to the experience of gratitude. The practice of openness, he says, invites the kind of happiness that can't be earned, the kind it makes no sense to look for precisely because we don't know exactly what we're looking for or why. We want the kind of meaning that can't be found under a microscope, the kind of purpose that can't be derived by a proof or from a proof, the kind of satisfaction that can't be achieved by reaching even the most distant goal, the kind of joy that can't be identified by an algorithm. It's Whitman's Song of the Open Road, Emerson's desire to dig deep, or Mary Oliver's desire to take the world into our arms. Radical openness. There's a story in his book about a woman that went to school someplace in Washington, and I forget the school, but on a farm, and she was given the assignment in that course to sit for hours every day with a particular tree. So for the whole semester, several hours, every time she had a class, she had to go sit with a tree. She asked what she was supposed to do or what she was supposed to learn, and he said the tree would tell her. The professor told her that the tree would tell her. And what she discovered after all that time of just sitting with the tree through the rain and the wind, whatever the weather did, it's losing its leaves, and following the seasons, she discovered the profound extent that life was a part of the tree and everything that was around the tree, how the tree was a part of the ecosystem, not just intellectually, but it became part of her, and from that she found a profound openness. I don't know that we have hours for the length of semesters or courses or even years, maybe it would take us years, I don't know, to sit and just quietly experience life until we are pried open by it. We do ourselves a great service to work at this, being open to life and the moment, because as Gingrich reminds us, no matter how barricaded our lives become, something will inevitably break through. At the end of Monty Python's Meaning of Life, what they consider the answer is revealed to be: try and be nice to people, avoid eating fat, read a good book every now and then, get some walking in, and try and live together in peace and harmony with people of all creeds and nations. As satisfactory as that answer may seem for a general meaning, it still doesn't give us the underlying or overarching purpose or meanings for our own lives, or provide the specific guidance growing children need for discerning good and bad choices, right and wrong, what's helpful or what's harmful. That task that once rested with institutions pretty precariously sits with a lot of individuals. What ties all of it together? When I do memorial services, there's a quote that I share about love being all that holds life together and allows it to advance. For Galen Gingrich, what holds it together is gratitude experienced by greeting life with radical openness. He says he grew up a Mennonite and was taught all the facts and knew how to follow the steps, but was about as far from open as an individual can be to the emotion of life, the deep marrow. He says the practice begins by acknowledging the closed off areas of our lives, and it progresses by intentional and repeated efforts to open them. If facts are the musical notes on the page, then spirituality is the music they create. He tells us that spirituality is the deliberate commitment to a world of experience that we know nothing about and will continue to know nothing about unless we practice being available and becoming aware. The opposite of openness is a spiritual form of narcissism, which is the default mode of living, especially in the West. If love is our doctrine, and that is what we covenant, our task is to commit to the practice of radical openness that can ultimately carry us to the love that transcends our ego's demands and finds that common grounding that is all of life. Simply by the fact that trillions of atoms somehow assembled themselves into you, there's a cause for gratitude. When we remember to look with grateful eyes, the doors of perception are oiled a little bit so that they might open a bit more easily. This year, may each find ways to commit to radical openness that we haven't had before. And gratitude so that the all-embracing love we aspire to will find us and disclose that meaning and purpose that brings lasting happiness and that can't be sought. It can only be found. I'm holding possibility.
2, 3, 4.
There's no way to tell from here what only time makes clear. Elements far and near in play, opening up the wounds go deep. Lessons come free, but never cheap. All that we have is now, and if we wake somehow, past all the noise and dense debris, we'll find the picture more complete. Under the blunders we repeat. Oh, I get weary and my spirit gets low. Sometimes I admit I let the light go. I've got to do something to fill my soul back up. Get the dark emptied out and find my way back to love. Let nobody take your cool compassion's the guiding rule, and earth the providing pool we share. The future will stretch out what you'll see. I'm holding the possibility with care. Oh, I get weary and my spirit goes low. Sometimes I confess I let the light go. I'm here on a mission to fill my soul back up. Get the dark empty out and find my way back to love. Nobody can take my place, lifting the human race over divisions, wasted time. I'll do all I can to be what mercy asks of me, and I'll carry home for all I see. I'm holding possibility.
To wish for compassion, to pray for courage, to experience doubt, to bear sorrow, to strive for sureness. All these are qualities for which each of us should be grateful. But to feel a genuine fellowship for the whole human family, to act so that our empathy is evident wherever we go, that's the object. That's the lifelong goal. Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the servant of truth. Question your convictions, for beliefs too tightly held strangled the mind and its natural wisdom. Suspect all certitudes, for the world whirs on, nothing abides. Yet in our inner rooms full of doubt, inquiry, and suspicion, let a corner be reserved for trust. For without trust, there is no space for communities to gather or for friendships to be forged. In our hungering for meaning, in our aching for friendship, in our yearning for justice, in our hearts remembering of finer days, may we look deep within the mystery of things and gather our strength. May each of us proclaim as one of God's spies the graceful power of life and love, and so may we live in hope. Happy New Year. Ashe. Amen. So be it. Blessed be. Things we hold too close, we cannot see. So I want to let all that I hold sacred go free. Oh, I know staring at the sun will make me blind. So I need some time in darkness, yes, yes, to keep me in the light. Dreams we hold too tight cannot come true. So I want to give all of my old dreams to you. Oh, I know I could ride this train from here till the day I die, but I'd rather check my baggage here than tote it around the sky. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Things we know too well get in our way. So I want to question my own answers every day. Oh, I know the whole mystery can't fit into one mere mind. So I'm learning how to empty out and take it one piece at a time.